I'm casting a magic spell. You will subscribe to the channel. Hey there, kids, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, hoping that you are having a great day. And in today's video, we are going to be sitting back in my very creaky chair, relaxing and having a talk about dead card games, or more specifically, life after death in the world of card board collectibles. You see, on this channel, I often talk about dead card games, their histories, some of their quirks. In some videos, I explain how they died and what ended up happening to them after the fact. But you know, in most videos, I do mention that there are small and dedicated communities who just really enjoy these card games, whether or not they are in production or have been out of print for over a decade. And you'll find that the deeper you delve into the internet, into smaller communities online, the more often you'll find that even some of the least popular card games have a pretty dedicated fan base to them. And it's easy to kind of get lost in the moment when the end of a TCG comes and think that, well, now that it's done, there's nothing more to do. And a lot of people get caught up in that. You know, a lot of people who would otherwise be playing this game for 10 years if it were still in print, if it's announced that the end has come and that there's no more sets coming, a lot of people tend to throw in the towel. But the end of official support for a game is not the end of the TCG as a hobby. After all, and I'm going to say this as many times as needs to be said, you do not need a company's support to enjoy the games you play. Ever. The company has printed the cards. The moment that those cards are in your hands, it's your game to play. And for some people, this holds true really, really strongly. You know, a good example, for instance, is the old school Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh communities. You know, these people have not bought up-to-date modern cards in 10 plus years. Look at old school 93, 94 players for Magic the Gathering. There's plenty of dedicated channels out there on YouTube, I know. I've watched plenty of them and I enjoy a lot of their content. You know, go watch Timmy Talks sometime. You know, there are huge fans of old school Magic the Gathering from way back in the day who have not engaged with any of the new stuff Wizards of the Coast is putting out. And when Magic the Gathering dies as a game, nothing's going to change for them because they're still playing with the same cards that came out 30 years ago. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the same. The GOAT and Edison format communities, there's a lot of people playing that format, those throwback time wizard formats, that have not played Yu-Gi-Oh! Modern cards in 10 plus years. I know because I'm one of them. When I play Yu-Gi-Oh!, I almost exclusively play Edison or GOAT. And occasionally some head-to-head deck games. Those are fun. You know, and it's not just, existing TCGs, in-print card games that this holds true for. You know, there are fans, really dedicated fans, of card games that have not been in print for a very long time that are still playing them with their small dedicated communities. You know, some that come to mind, like Harry Potter. The Harry Potter fan base is absolutely rabid, and once upon a time, way back in the early 2000s, there was a Harry Potter card game produced by Wizards of the Coast, and it was really good. It had good mechanics, solid gameplay. It was a bit too much like Magic in certain aspects, I suppose. It had the classic style Harry Potter art rather than, art inspired by the films. It had art based on the earlier Harry Potter books, which I kind of liked. And it had some nice collectability to it with nice foils, holographic foils, etc. And that card game has not been in print since the early 2000s. And it has a very dedicated online community. Netrunner is another one. Netrunner is a cyberpunk-themed TCG. And everyone who's played Netrunner claims that it's the best card game ever made. Or at least one of them. And, the people who play Netrunner today, they have not bought a new Netrunner product in a very long time. You know why? Because it's been out of print for a very long time. Netrunner is a dead TCG with a huge, very dedicated fan base. World of Warcraft comes to mind, too. Although this is a bit of a a niche example, because part of what makes World of Warcraft so beloved as a TCG is its integration with the game itself. And while the online game, it's still around and trucking even now. There are people who are playing it just as they were 20 years ago. And some of those cards for the World of Warcraft TCG, they got little codes that let you get things in the game, and that's nice. That helps keep the TCG relevant. It does have players, but I would definitely think that the codes have more to do with it. And just because a TCG is dead doesn't mean that there won't be attempts to bring it back in some form or another after a while. Look at MetaZoo from earlier this year. Last year, MetaZoo died. Okay? Everybody knows the story of MetaZoo at this point. It was a big pump and dump, Kickstarter, pseudo money sink, where everybody who got in early and then managed to sell out quick made huge profits, and then the TCG died. Well, there was a revival attempt earlier this year. I actually haven't kept up on that, but I'm fairly confident it hasn't gone anywhere because I haven't heard anyone really talking about it. If you guys are playing the new MetaZoo, let me know in the comments section. But, another one, Legend of Five Rings. That's another good example. Legend of Five Rings was a card game that first came out in, I want to say 1995, okay? And it's a very wuxia, Eastern-inspired Chinese, Japanese card game. It's got some nice art. And it ran from 95 till 2015, I think. 20 years. That card game ran for 20 years. Holy crap. And after 20 years, the company behind it said, you know what? We're throwing in the towel. We're ending it. And then we're bringing it back, because almost immediately after Legend of the Five Rings died as a card game, they brought it back as a living card game, which is a bit different from a TCG. You're not buying packs and assembling custom decks. It's a bit different. It's a bit stranger. It's like a mix between a TCG and a deck building game. When am I ever going to get a chance to talk about Legend of the Five Rings? But that's besides the point. There are plenty of card games from the past 30 years of the industry. And yeah, it's been 30 years. There are 30 years of dead card games out there. And some of them have really big, dedicated fan bases if you just know where to look. Netrunner comes to mind. There's pretty much always going to be Netrunner fans, I think. Harry Potter, the old Neopets, Transformers. The Transformers card game is surprisingly deep for a licensing game that only lasted 2 years. Man, I wish the Mega Man card game was as big as it could be. I'm going to brainwash a bunch of people to play Mega Man. That's the new goal of this channel. I'm going to put hypnotic suggestions in the video. You will play Mega Man. It's a fun game. But what I'm trying to say is, all jokes aside, just because a card game ends, that doesn't mean it's the end of the card game, okay? And if you are a fan of a card game and the company behind it suddenly announces, we're done, no more sets, all that jazz, you don't have to throw away your cards. You don't have to sell off your collection for a huge loss. You could just keep what you got and build a bunch of decks and just play casually with friends in your kitchen table for the rest of the time. The fun thing about card games is, yeah, companies really aren't needed for it. More support most of the time isn't really needed to have fun with the card game. If the game you're enjoying is good enough, then you'll never need new cards for it. You might want new cards, but you don't need them. You can enjoy collecting and building and playing with what you already have, and you'll find that even if every single card game that's on the market right now died and no more came out, with 30 years of dead games to experience and enjoy, it'll be a long time before you get around to really trying and enjoying them all, So, that's really all I wanted to talk about today. The fact that the dead TCG world is a bit more alive than you might think, and that there's a lot of people who really just enjoy playing with the oldie but goodies. Let me know if you liked this video by leaving a like, sharing the video with a friend, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. You've reached the end of the video, which means it's time to answer a viewer question. Furry Joe asks, Are you aware of the Neopets tournament prizes? Yes, I am. I actually learned about those just the other day. Thank you for asking. There is, in fact, a Neopets Battle Dome TCG League complete with prize packs, which I think is really cool. Still kind of upset that you can't get that stuff on TCG Player, but, you know, I guess I'll live.